Welcome to the Taste Test channel, and this week we'll be taking an impartial look at luxury boxes of chocolates from around the world to discover what the differences are and how some of the most iconic varieties around the globe differ in taste. Chocolate boxes were once works of art. If we look back at the glory days of the movies with Fred and Ginger and Hepburn and so on, you'd see exquisite examples presented as gifts. I think it's a real shame that we've lost so much of the traditional beauty that went hand in hand with chocolates, no matter what the price range. Nevertheless, this week we've tracked down some of the most highly regarded luxury selections from around the world. As always, just for fun, we'll be awarding our Taste Test Channel Best in Class award to the winner. If you're new to the channel, just hit the subscribe button to ensure you don't miss out on any of our regular taste tests. So our lineup of luxury milk and dark chocolate selection boxes this week is as follows. From the UK, we have Charbonnel and Walker, one of Britain's first and finest. From Belgium, chocolatiers to the royal court, Godiva. From Italy, artisan chocolate makers, Venky. From Switzerland, luxury fresh confectioners, Sprungli. From France, the finest of French chocolatiers, Michel Cluizel. And lastly, also from the UK, we have the world-renowned Fortnum and Mason chocolate selection box. Price-wise, these all fall into the luxury chocolate range. Obviously, all these makers produce boxes of various sizes, but we've tried to select as close an equivalent as possible, of between £30 to £40 or $40 to $55. But there is some variation in weight, so you can see both the price that I paid and the grammage is shown below. As you can see, although Fortnum and Mason appears to be the most expensive, if you look at the price per 100 grams, it's actually the best value, with Michel Cluizel being the highest cost per 100 grams, followed by Godiva. Nutritional wise, we're going to drop our normal energy, fat, salt and sugar content analysis this week, simply because every single chocolate in each box will vary according to its contents. But suffice to say, they're chocolates, so moderation is the key. So we're going to start with one of Britain's oldest chocolatiers, Charbonnel and Walker of London, who've been favoured by many illustrious names, including Princess Diana, Wallace Simpson and Noel Coward. The company was founded in 1875 by two women, Madame Charbonnel, a French chocolatier from Paris, and the British Mrs. Walker, who handmade all the ornate boxes. They hold the royal warrant to Her Majesty the Queen of England, and their chocolates are still handmade to traditional recipes. So what we're going to do is have a good look at and then open all 6 boxes so we can see how they compare side by side, and then we'll move on to the tasting. So let's see what these ones look like inside. Always nice to have a silk ribbon to untie. You can see the menu here briefly, but we'll go into the contents in more detail shortly. I do like having a paper layer to open, it makes it feel more special, but for now we'll remove it for the purpose of filming. So the cardboard inner looks good as a divider, but the shapes are a bit more moulded than I expected. I'm sure they used to have more hand-finished looking options. There's 14 different varieties in this selection, including various fruit and floral creams, including rose and violet. There's ganaches, a truffle and a praline, and traditional options such as caramel, fudge and a Brazil. And unfortunately, the dreaded salted caramels have also made their way into the mix. But we'll look forward to tasting some of these after we've opened the others. Next from Belgium is the Gold Collection by Godiva, official chocolatiers to the Royal Court of Belgium and as such ambassadors of quality Belgian chocolate. Godiva started in Brussels in 1926 when confectioner Pierre Drapp started making chocolates for his young wife, whose nickname was Lady Godiva, the English noblewoman who rode naked through Coventry with only her hair to cover her. With the success of his chocolates, the company was named after her, and today Godiva stores can be found all over the world. They've been owned by a Turkish company since 2007, but continue to honour their roots with Belgian craftsmanship. So it's nice to have a gold box and ribbon, but I'd say this lacks the more luxurious feel of some of the others and looks a little bit more mass-produced. Nevertheless, let's see what they look like inside. So you can see the menu here, and we'll go into the contents in a second. I have to say, I'm surprised to see a plastic tray being used by a luxury brand. And again, these look like moulded shapes on the whole, a sprinkling of different toppings, but nothing that jumps out as hand finished. So there's 12 different varieties in this selection, several pralines with different inclusions like nougatine and feuilletine, then quite a few chocolate and coffee flavoured pastes and ganaches, also one with passion fruit and a caramel. Next from Italy we have the Hat Box from Venky. The company was founded in 1878 by Silvano Venchi from Turin, who'd been creating unique chocolates in his pastry shop since the age of 16. They became renowned for their superior ingredients and exquisite jewel-like designs, and his shop became the most famous in the city. Venky have continued to be successful artisan chocolatiers and can be found today in over 70 countries. Ingredients include single origin chocolate and the famous Piedmont hazelnuts, and their box designs include books, gem boxes and hat boxes like we have here. So I love the use of hat boxes for chocolates. I wish more chocolatiers used this format. It makes so much more impact. I love the blue colour as well, and I'm really curious to see what they're like inside. So we'll take the ribbon off. Okay, so unlike the others, these are all individually wrapped, hence I guess their original jewel-like quality. Lots of different shapes and sizes and quite an exciting looking selection. No menu in the box though, so I'll have to look online to find out what's in there. And obviously that's what I did, and there's 20 different varieties in here, including solid squares of varying cocoa content, hazelnuts and nougatine in chocolate, a whole host of pralines and gianduja using all sorts of nuts, milk and dark mousses, and tiramisu, olive oil and pistachio creams. Next from Switzerland is the Limmat box from Sprungli. They were established in 1836 by David Sprungli and were actually instrumental in establishing the high reputation of Swiss chocolate worldwide. You might recognise the name from the brand Lindt Sprungli, Lindt being a giant name in Swiss chocolate, but the companies are separate, albeit with the same origin. In 1892, the business was split between two sons, one given a chocolate factory, which later became Lindt Sprungli, and the other two confectionery stores that became the luxury brand that we have here, Confiserie Sprungli. Today, the stores are mostly across Switzerland, selling extravagant handmade cakes and pies, but their fresh chocolates are available worldwide online and use traditional recipes. So despite being smaller than the others, there's something very appealing about the dinky box and Swiss design, and I'm intrigued to see what these look like inside. So we'll remove the ribbon. Obviously this menu won't all be in this box, but it gives a good idea of the Sprungli range. Nice paper wrapping again, which we'll remove for the purpose of filming. So for a small box, there's an impressive choice of colours and textures. There's no divider, so the inside is literally brimming with chocolates. Also lots of hand-finished flourishes, decorations and irregular shaped clusters. So there's 20 chocolates with an impressive 18 different varieties in here, including pralines and gianduja of various nuts. Lots of fresh creams and ganaches with flavours like walnut, coffee and nougat. Also marzipans with pistachio and lime, and apricots and almonds in chocolate. Next from France is the luxury gift box from Michel Cluizel. Michel Cluizel has earned the reputation among French chocolatiers of being the goldsmith of chocolate due to the high quality and purity of his ingredients. His calling began in Normandy in 1948 when his pastry-making parents started creating chocolates in their kitchen. After training, he continued working with them for 36 years before opening his first shop in Paris in 1987 as a showcase to the world of true fine French chocolate. Today, the company is run by his children and they remain bean to bar chocolate makers, using only the purest ingredients and all cocoa butter, as opposed to vegetable fats. So a bit of a bland looking box design, which is a shame considering the high reputation, but I'm really intrigued to see what they look like inside. So we'll remove the sleeve. And we've got the menu here, but we'll go into that shortly. You can see the traditional processes on the inside of the box here. And we've also got this extra menu showing the huge range available and a bit more of their history. So again, lots in here and a satisfyingly full box. A definite favouring of darker chocolate on this one, no doubt reflecting the high cocoa content. Not a massive variety of shapes and textures, I have to say, but they're not moulded. You can see the giveaway hand-dipped rims, but there's less flourishes compared to, for example, the Sprungli we just looked at. So there's 16 different varieties in here, including pralines of various nuts and flavours, with granite and feuilletine. Lots of ganaches of differing cocoa percentages, with flavours like cranberries and chilli, raspberry, citron and coffee, and caramels, again including the dreaded salted one. Finally, and also from the UK, we have Fortnum and Mason's Milk and Dark Chocolate selection. Fortnum and Mason department store are world renowned for high quality, speciality and exotic foods. They were founded as long ago as 1707 by William Fortnum, a footman in the household of Queen Anne, and Hugh Mason, his landlord. William was an enterprising fellow who used to sell the leftover candle wax from the royal household. He convinced his landlord to be his associate, and together they founded the first Fortnum and Mason store in London. Fortnum's chocolates are all handmade in England using traditional techniques, with the chocolates slow melted in small batches. So it's nice to have an attractive box to open. It's like when you receive a beautifully wrapped present. It almost doesn't matter what's inside. Although it is actually quite exciting to open, so let's see what we've got. So straight away, what a lovely scene with a nuthatch there, and on an area that's often just spare space. For me, this makes it a memorable gift that you'd keep. A good clear menu here. It says on the back to keep these in a cool, dark and secret place. Wise advice indeed. So we'll remove the paper wrapping for the purpose of filming. So wow, this looks like a really intriguing selection. There's a whole host of colours, sizes and textures going on here. I love the irregular shapes, slabs, battens, clusters and hand finish details. So there's actually an impressive 25 different varieties in here, which include chocolate battens, coated nuts and ginger, and raisin and coconut clusters. Loads of fruit and floral creams, including blackcurrant, raspberry, rose and vanilla among others, and several classics such as butterscotch, nougatine, caramel and marzipan. So looking at them all now side by side, it's really interesting to see the differences. The variation in textures really stand out in the Sprungli and the Fortnum and Mason boxes, and I have to say they're proving the most difficult not to steal at this point. Michel Cluizel looks darker than the others, but with maybe less variation in shapes and sizes. Charbonnel and Walker is looking more traditional, but perhaps with less flair in its finishes. And Venky looks fascinating, with lots of different shapes and colours. But for me at this stage, Godiva falls behind the rest, with not only the smallest selection, but also its moulded shapes and plastic landfill packaging, which seems a bit more in line with a $10 box as opposed to the second most expensive of the group. Nevertheless, all this may change in the tasting, and I'm pleased to say that's what we're moving on to now. Okay, so what we're going to do to be as objective and insightful as possible, and without wasting 3 hours of your time, is test 2 chocolates from each box. Firstly, a praline, because it's one of the few options that are in all 6 boxes, and secondly, a cream or ganache. In addition, for purely scientific purposes of course, off camera I'll be tasting loads more, so I can give you a good insight into all 6. So we have a praline from Charbonnel and Walker, Godiva, Venky, Sprungli, Michel Cluizel and Fortnum and Mason. And a cream or ganache from Charbonnel and Walker, Godiva, Venky, Sprungli, Michel Cluizel and Fortnum and Mason. And now to see what the centres look like. And on to the tasting. So we'll start with the praline from Charbonnel and Walker, and this one is a noisette cream. It's got a light praline aroma and a firm, smooth consistency, no grain in there. The nut taste is subtle, the praline's fairly sweet, and the chocolate's of a good standard. Overall, pleasant and good quality, but nothing dramatic. Next is the iconique praline from Godiva. Barely any aroma to this one, the smell's very subtle. It's a firm texture which goes to a smooth, creamy paste. There's not much distinction, however, between the taste of the praline and that of the chocolate. Overall, not as tasty as the last one. It's creamy, but it lacks nutty punch. Next is the Gianduotto from Venky. No shell on this one, just the praline itself, and it has a strong nutty aroma. Okay, so an immediate hazelnut punch on this one and a smooth, long-lasting finish. It's the strongest flavour so far, high quality and very nice too. Next is a rustic hazelnut gianduja from Sprungli. Smells nice and praline-y. Wow, so this is much softer and creamier than the others. The coating's thin and delicate, which contrasts nicely with the centre. There's also crystalline pieces in there. But the biggest difference is the really fresh taste. Overall, this is a big jump up in quality. Lots going on and a lovely fresh nutty punch. Next is the traditional milk praline from Michel Cluizel. So the aroma is strong bitter cocoa. It's got a firm and fudgy consistency with tiny shards of nut. It's very sweet though, and not as much praline flavour as I'd expect. Overall, good texture, and it's certainly high quality chocolate, but it's lacking nuttiness and definitely too sweet for my palate. And the last of this round is the dark butterscotch praline from Fortnum and Mason. So this one has a chocolatey aroma. It's the firmest consistency so far and has crunchy caramelised bits in the centre. The taste is a good quality praline in a good quality casing, not at all bitter, and the flavours are full and well balanced. Overall, really nice. So just to round up then, our top 3 pralines would have to be Sprungli, followed by Fortnum and Mason, followed by Venky. But this may all change as we move on to the creams and ganaches. And we'll start with the strawberry cream from Charbonnel and Walker. This one's very runny, by the way, so I've cut a new one to avoid a mess. There's a very pleasant fruity smell. It's a liquid syrup, but the finish is creamier. It's full of strawberry notes, but not unduly sweet, and the chocolate has a good cocoa hit, but no bitterness. Overall, this is a good quality version of what strawberry creams used to taste like back in the day. Very nice. Next is the Mocha Latte chocolate and cappuccino cream from Godiva. So the aroma on this one is of mild coffee. The coating's quite thick, not at all delicate. The centre is smooth and waxy and the shell is soft and fudgy, so there's actually very little distinction between the chocolate and the contents. It's got mild coffee notes and a long sweet aftertaste. Overall, the flavours are dull and the texture's samey. It's not bad, but it's mediocre. Next is the Chocovia cream pistachio from Venky with hazelnuts, pistachios and almonds topped with caramel sprinkles. So the texture on this one is very firm, but it melts away to a really smooth cream. The coating's thin and delicate and the sprinkles caramelise. The taste is multi-dimensional and it has a very pleasant nutty finish. In summary, this surpasses its description. It's well conceived and I would imagine this to be a real Venky favourite. Next is a fresh cream ganache from Sprungli. So the aroma is a quality cocoa smell, maybe a hint of smokiness. The texture's medium firm through to creamy with flecks of walnut. Once again, the Sprungli taste is very fresh and there's an extra dimension in the flavour, maybe a roasted cocoa-ness, which stops it from being a boring cream ganache. It's a very nice chocolate. Next is the raspberry marmalade ganache from Michel Cluizel. So the aroma on this one is strong cocoa and subtle fruits. The sticky jam and creamy ganache do work well together. The chocolate has a high quality punch and complements the raspberry, but again it's exceptionally sweet rather than tangy. Overall, the flavours work well, but the sweetness dominates, and it's certainly too much for my palate. Finally, we have the orange cream with orange pieces from Fortnum and Mason. So the aroma on this one is lovely. It's like a puff of mist from a freshly peeled orange. The texture's medium soft and pliable with a slight graininess adding dimension. Wow, this tastes a lot better than it looks. The orange is really vivid and the pieces add extra tang as well. The chocolate's high quality, neither too sweet nor bitter. I can honestly say this is the finest orange cream I've ever tasted. So if you like orange creams, seek these out. So just to round up, based on the creams alone, the top 3 would have to be Fortnum and Mason, followed by Venky, followed by Sprungli. So off camera, I've now had the pleasure of tasting a lot more of all of these chocolates. And now that we've tasted them all, as always, just for fun, we award our Taste Test Channel winners and Best in Class award. I have to say that 5 of these I would be very happy to give or receive. So not winning certainly doesn't mean poor quality. The competition standard is very high. Godiva, to my taste and palate, are the only ones that seem to stand out as not really belonging in the luxury category. The variety is limited, being mostly pralines and pastes, and they all taste very similar, with fudgy textures throughout. Sorry to say it, but in my opinion, the only thing that's luxury about this box is the price. Charbonnel and Walker are a high standard of what I would call a traditional British assortment, and it can be difficult to find good fruit creams, Brazil nuts or fudge in a chocolate box these days, but this fits the bill. They may not be as artisan as some of the others, but they're a good quality selection. Michel Cluizel are a great example of fine French ganaches and pralines and use top quality ingredients. The flavours and textures, however, are less varied, so one can taste quite similar to the next, and they are very sweet. Clearly, that's a subjective thing, so don't be put off, but I would personally love to try these with 30 to 40% less sugar in them. But our top 3 this week are as follows. So winning 3rd place, Venky from Italy, a superb example of nut and praline inspired chocolates with exceptional quality ingredients. Every option seemed to surpass its description and they're surprisingly varied. Very nice indeed. Winning 2nd place and extremely close to coming 1st, really only pipped to the post due to less overall variety, Sprungli from Switzerland. These are like no other chocolates I've ever tried. The impact of being freshly made is remarkable. Being mostly ganaches and pralines, they're soft and light and melt in the mouth, coupled with high quality Swiss chocolate, truly excellent. But in first place this week in our luxury chocolate boxes from around the world, the Taste Test Channel Best in Class Award goes to Fortnum and Mason from the UK. Every chocolate in this box is a different experience to the next, and all perfectly executed. Something for everyone, with top quality ingredients, imaginative textures and well-balanced flavours. There's an amazing variety and it's beautifully presented, ticking every box of what luxury chocolate should be. Well done to Fortnum and Mason. And as always, taste is subjective and this is purely my point of view, but I hope this has provided some useful insights. So I've certainly enjoyed making this episode and eating lots of lovely chocolates. I really hope you've enjoyed watching it. And if you have, it really helps us if you hit the thumbs up button, and please do consider sharing it with others. Do check out our other similar video where we compare 6 milk chocolate bars from the US, Russia, France, the UK, Switzerland and Belgium. Also, don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell to ensure you don't miss out on any of our regular taste tests. And just a note, as always, to thank everyone who supports the channel. You really do make all the difference. We're not sponsored by the brands that we feature, and each video takes 6 to 8 days to make. So a massive, massive extra thank you to the particularly generous viewers who support us via Patreon. You keep us going and we are eternally grateful. As always, please do comment and let us know what food or drink items you'd like to see on some of our forthcoming Taste Test episodes. Meanwhile, thanks for watching and chocks away.